I'm Miss Diane coming to you from Washington, Iowa. I am talking with Ty Renner today, who is a turkey grower who raises turkeys for West Liberty Foods. Come on with me and let's find out what he does.
Hello, I am Ty Renner, and this is my turkey farm. We're in my brooder barn, as we call it. This is where the brand new baby turkeys will get started when we get them from the hatchery. The hatchery is the place where the eggs are hatched, the birds are processed, meaning they're going to get debeaked, they're going to get their vaccination shots and all the sexed, all that kind of stuff, put in a box. They'll be loaded on a truck and delivered here either the following day or the same day as hatched, depending on which hatchery they come from. So this is how they're going to start out. Right now we're in the utility room here where the water, the electricity, and everything starts. So I'll give you a quick tour of what it's going to take to get these birds off to a good start. Starting right here on this wall, we have an alarm system, and this is going to alert me on all my barns if I lose water, if I lose electricity, or the temperature gets out of whack, hot, too high, or too low. It'll alert me any time of day or night, and I come out and correct the issue. Moving along the wall here, we got fan controls for variable speed fans, shocker line to keep the birds trained from sitting on top of water lines and feed lines. We don't want them pooping on their feed. And then this is the ventilation system. When the air comes on, it opens doors up so much, and this here thing will tell it how far to open the doors. Then this is a computer that runs the building. This is the current temperature that's in the barn, and if I want to change the temperature, I turn the knob, and then what's blinking here is the temperature we set it to this morning. I just turn this knob, change the temperature, turn it back, and then that keeps the temperature a cool 90 degrees today by letting the fans run, turn on the heaters, whatever. So over here is the whole water side of things, and we have a water meter here. Every day we'll check the water meter. We're going to see how much water the birds drink. That's important because, as I told my daughter this morning, she's learning the fine art of this job. How water, if the water consumption drops, then they generally mean something's not right. If 2 days in a row it drops, then you better take a pretty close look, see if they're not feeling well. You may need to look into things and call the vet. So then this little blue thing here is called a Medicator. There'll be a bucket down here on the floor if I want to add vitamins, minerals to the water and or a vaccine. I'll put it in the bucket and it'll draw it up out of the bucket and inject it into the water lines, and the turkeys drink it. That's how we vaccinate. That's how we would medicate if they were to get sick, or if we just want to add something to boost their energy or something, that's how we'll inject it. This system here is another way of doing that. I have a water tank. When they're very young like this, it's sort of hard to tell how much they truly drink because the water meter sometimes isn't as accurate as it should be. So it's a water tank. We fill it up with the stuff. Jet pump that pumps it in as it needs by pressure. Same concept, little different way of doing it, but sometimes it's a bit more accurate. So that's what happens in the utility room here, and now we'll step into the building and see what 3-day-old turkeys are like. Okay, so here we are inside the brooder house with the turkeys. These turkeys are 3 days old, and they're not real big. There's 7,500 in here. They don't cover much floor space right now, but give them 5 weeks, which is how long they'll be in this barn. They'll cover the floor by then. So these little fellers, they run around on the bedding here. This is just sawdust that comes to us. That's what we use for the bedding. And how they drink and eat is right here. This here is the water line. They'll bump these little green cups, and you can see the water in them, and that's how they fill up. As they bump it, it automatically fills, and there they drink. Over here is a feed line. This is the automatic feed line. They'll eat out of this little pan right here, and at the very end there's a switch in that pan, and as it empties out, it automatically kicks on and refills. So when they fill up, the feed comes into this hopper right here from the bin outside, and as they get low, a switch kicks on, fills those back up, so it's all automatic. I don't have to do any hand feeding. The only hand feeding I have is this bucket over here. For just a little extra feed space. It's nothing more than a 5-gallon bucket. The bottom's cut out. It has a special bottom put on it. It gravity feeds and the birds will eat out of there. Once they've eaten the feed out of here, they come out and they're done. They've graduated to the automatic feeder by that time, and that's what they'll do for the rest of their life in here. So how this barn works, you just heard the fans kick on. And over here on the wall, you can see the air inlet doors are starting to open. So the box in the utility room, and I said it's adjusting to what it's the pressure change in here. So it says that's how far it needs to open right now. There's only 2 fans running. If it was to get a little bit hotter in here, another fan would kick on, the door would open a little farther, and so on and so forth, until all 4 fans are running. So the air comes in, it's coming across the ceiling, and there's a couple of fans in the middle that just help stir the air just to keep it fresh and nice in here. And then directly above me, this is the radiant tube heating. So 4 of these heaters in here, it covers the full width of the floor. So no matter where these turkeys are at on the floor, it's almost the same temperature everywhere, within about 5-6 degrees. They can be as comfortable as can be, because as little as they are, they can't adjust their temperature. So they have to walk in and out of a temperature zone that they like. And somewhere between about 90 and 94 degrees when they first get here is their ideal temperature. You and I, we like it to be, 70 degrees is nice. And if it's hot outside, we turn on the air conditioner in the house. If it's cold outside, we turn on the furnace. Well, these guys, I have to do that for them, but they're so little to maintain their body heat. We have to create that heat and have it be up in the 90s when they first start out. Every day that temperature just graduates down just a little bit as they get older. Excuse me. They don't need as much heat, and we'll slowly bring it down to when they're an adult to about 58 degrees. So that's how the nuts and bolts of this barn work. They're going to be in here for about 5 weeks. Most commonly asked questions are, how much do these guys drink? Not a whole lot at this age. The whole entire group right now drinks about 100 gallons of water for the whole 24 hours in a day. Individually, that's not a lot of water. How much do they weigh? Well, this is all the bigger they are. He only weighs a matter of ounces right now. So actually, he'd probably weigh less than a bottle of water. He's pretty small. Only in 3 days, you can see these white feathers on his wings. How long they are? When they came 3 days ago, he had no white feathers on him. So each day they grow just a little longer and a few more. They'll start here on the inside. There was just a few of them, and then they just continue to grow. So they're just little yellow fuzz balls right now. But in about 3 weeks, they'll be completely white. Chores in here consist of, I'll walk through here. These bucket feeders, I'll move them every couple days. Every so many days as they grow, I have to raise those water lines up. Today was the first day they had to be moved up, so they came up about 1 inch. and every few days they'll do that. Feed lines need to be raised up too as they grow. Right now they're low so they can reach it, but as they get bigger, we'll raise it up so it's a comfortable height for them to eat from. I don't know if you can see it, but there's also something we start underneath the water lines here. If you can shine the camera on this, it's called chick paper. I'll try to chase some birds off here. This chick paper, it's a little covered in litter already because they're 3 days old. But what that does is we'll put a little bit of feed on them just to get them used to eating and drinking closer to the water line. The paper makes a funny crinkling noise and they all come running over to it like, what is that? And it's just so funny to watch, but then they see, oh hey, there's water, and they'll drink out of the cup, and that's kind of partially how they get trained to water. Little dab of feed on there, they can find something to eat, because as soon as they show up, they're eating and drinking water. And you know, any other animals like baby calves, pigs, lambs, they drink milk from their mothers. Well, these guys don't do that. They're already on solid food and water as soon as they get here. So Diane, what other questions would you like me to answer for in here that frequently get asked?
So how many or how long do they stay in this barn?
They're going to be in here for 5 weeks, and then we'll move them into what we call the finishing barn.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about how they came to us here on the farm, that they come in a box. How many come in one box?
Each box will hold 100 birds, and they are partitioned off with little plastic dividers, so there's 25 birds in each quarter of the box. And we physically carry them off the truck by hand. We put them on a trailer and a little garden tractor, and we push them down through here, take all the boxes off, set them out on the floor. We'll gently pour them all out, put the boxes back on the trailer, and there they go. They're off and running.
How about one last question? How many do birds actually die, and how many do you think die a day?
Yes, it's a fact of life. That's the ugly part of it. There will be some that die. We hope that not too many die off. But if they do, we pick them up and we get rid of them. It's just part of farming. It's part of raising any kind of livestock. The weak will not survive, but you know, that's life. These guys here are interested in the camera. They all have to come up here and see us.
Yes.
So it looks like they're all standing right here. And as soon as we leave, they'll scatter out again. But you know, you want to get an idea how tall they are. Here's my cell phone, and they're just as tall as my cell phone right now. So that's 3-day-old bird. That's all the taller they'll be. And they're gonna keep growing. They're just curious right now and want to see what we do. So biosecurity is an important thing about raising any kind of livestock, but here on a turkey farm, what we do is we've got signs saying, keep out if you don't belong in here. So only people that need to be in here are in here. The first thing we do before we enter any barn on our farm is step into a disinfectant pan. So I just freshen this up. It's nice and sudsy. It's disinfectant to kill the germs on our shoes so we don't carry anything into the barn. So now we're ready to go in. Okay, so now I got it in coveralls. That takes a little bit. So, you know, if it was a millennial farmer, he'd do. So here we are. Now we're in our coveralls. We're ready to go into a turkey barn. I would wear a dust mask too normally, but just for video purposes so you can understand me, I'm not. So here in the utility room here, we got the water that comes into this building. We have a thing called a chlorine dioxide system. This is to help sanitize the water. If all these turkeys are drinking out of the same cups as one another, somebody's going to spread germs. It'd be the same concept as if you and me, if we're all a whole bunch of people together, like your classroom that's going to be watching this, if 30 of you all drank out of the same glass of water, somebody's going to get sick because somebody's got some germ that someone else is going to pick up, right? Turkeys are no different. So this thing here is going to sanitize the water. It's safe for them to drink, but it keeps the germs down so they can all drink out of the cups and not get sick. All right, moving around. This is the brain box for this building here. It controls the heat and the ventilation as well. Fans, lights, everything. It's all programmed in here and it does its thing automatically. The click you hear is this Medicator. So today they're getting something in their water line that they needed. So it's in this barrel, getting drawn up this tube, and it's injecting it into the water line that they'll drink to do whatever it is they need today. All right, let's step inside these guys. These turkeys here are almost 19 weeks of age. They're going to be sold in just a matter of days. And so you'll see the difference between our little babies to these big fellas. In the finishing barn. And these guys are, like I said, almost 19 weeks of age. We're going to sell them here in about 4 or 5 more days. They've grown a little bit since them little bitty fellers. And again, they're curious because they see me in here and hear me talking, so they're going to crowd around me. And it's going to look like there's not much room. There's actually 4 square feet per bird in this barn. So just like the little birds, we have the same type of water system. The cups just get bigger. They bump these green cups and the water runs in and that's where they drink out of, right there. And you can see they're just nice and bright clean from our water sanitizing program. No germs for you guys, right? No, nothing but the best for these guys. So then the feed line over here. Same concept, just bigger equipment. They're going to reach in here and eat the feed. Feed line's running right now. And this is what the turkeys eat. It's called a pellet. And these are good-sized pellets for adults. The little turkeys had something similar to it, they were just much smaller. That's got all the vitamins and minerals that they need. It's also a lot of corn and soybeans. It takes almost a bushel of corn and a half a bushel worth of soybean meal to grow a turkey from start to finish. Alrighty. So here is our scale. There's a turkey standing on it right now. It's hanging from the ceiling. And it's going to take that turkey's weight and it's going to record it in a system somewhere that I can look up on my cell phone anywhere I'm at and see that that turkey's going to weigh 42 pounds or whatever he's going to weigh. If another turkey gets on there, it'll weigh him too. It takes 10 seconds for it to register. So 2 or 3 turkeys could be on there as long as there's time in between. It'll weigh them all. But it'll give me an average of 24 hours of weighing turkeys. It starts over at midnight every night. Underneath the lid there's some sensors. It tells me what the temperature is in the building, humidity, carbon dioxide output of these birds. And that also kind of helps me with management decisions on ventilation and such. So behind it, you see hanging from the ceiling is a fan. In the summertime, we'll have these fans to help blow more air through here, and we'll add more as the summer gets hotter. Ceiling fans. It's kind of the same thing as that brooder house, just a lot bigger. But we don't need as much heat in here. Winter time, there's heat, just to keep it above, temperature we need. These are all tom turkeys, which is the male turkeys. And as you see, they all have these big, beautiful heads. And I'm trying to find, there's a few hens in here somewhere. I saw one just a second ago. And I'll try to show the difference between them. There we go. This is a hen turkey. You can see she's physically not as big. Head's a little bit smaller, and it doesn't have the big, beautiful blue head quite like the toms do. She's going to weigh about half as much as the toms. So, yeah, trying to determine whether they're boys or girls at the hatchery is not easy. They miss a few. They'll process them just the same.
So what do these tom turkeys go for when they go to West Liberty Foods?
So these big turkeys are going to be further processed into sandwich meat. Most of the turkeys grown in Iowa are going to become a sandwich meat, a deli meat of some kind. One of our big customers is Subway restaurants. So if you love to go eat a turkey sandwich at Subway, it is very likely that turkey might have come from this farm. It for sure came from West Liberty Foods, and somebody in our group raised that turkey meat. Other places that you might find our turkey, if you get some turkey meat at Costco or Walmart, we also supply them with some turkey meat.
So how much do you think each one of these turkeys weigh?
Right now, these turkeys are weighing somewhere upwards of around 40, 41 pounds. The goal is, by the time we sell them, that they weigh 42 pounds. These turkeys are antibiotic free, which means we've grown them the entire life without using any antibiotics.
Do you give your turkeys anything to help them grow strong, like vitamins?
So they get minerals and vitamins in their feed, just like you and I. We got to have our own set of vitamins and minerals. It's in all the food we eat. All their stuff is in their feed too. If we think they were lacking on something, we would add a little extra to the water. But that diet they're fed makes them big and strong.
It looks kind of crowded in here. Is it normally this way?
It only looks crowded in here because we're standing here talking, they're attracted to us. Just like the baby turkeys. They're curious. They want to see what's going on, so they're all kind of bunching in here to see what we're doing.
So they really do have enough room in here.
There really is a lot more room in here than you realize.
How long or big is this building?
This barn is 60 feet wide, 400 foot long, for a total square footage of 24,000. So now that we're back in the office here where there's no birds bothering us, I can answer some frequently asked questions. People ask lots of times, how much water do they drink at this age? At this age, they're going to drink somewhere between 1/4 of a gallon and 1/3 of a gallon a day. And then they're going to eat somewhere about 1.5 pounds of food per day too at this age. And we're hoping for a rate of gain of about 0.32 or 0.33 pounds per day to get to our 42 pounds. Other questions I get It just depends on the age of people asking, but do they bite? Well, they might try biting your fingers, but they don't have any teeth. I still have all 10 fingers from choring for 23 years, whether they bite my fingers or not. It's not that hard of a bite.
I don't, but stay tuned for some pictures or video of loading. Thank you, Ty, for letting us visit your farm today.
You're very welcome, and come back anytime.
Here we are on loading day. These birds that you just saw in the barn are getting loaded out using those orange sacks that you saw in the beginning of the video. It helps to move them. And now they're going to go up to the conveyor belt and load it out onto the truck. That conveyor belt looks just like an escalator. And about 20 birds get put into each cage. They come up the conveyor belt. They are then put into the truck.
Alright, we're loading turkeys here this evening, and the reason we're loading them in the evening is so these turkeys are ready to be at the plant tomorrow morning when they start processing at 6 o'clock in the morning. They're also an antibiotic-free flock, so they want those turkeys in first before they bring in the birds that are not, just so they don't have to disinfect the plant.
So Ty, how long does it take to load a flock of birds?
We started this flock a little before 4 o'clock. We should be done by 7 o'clock tonight. That's 6,200 turkeys, 7 semis,